Hello everyone, this is Delta 2 Racing, Season 2, Division 3, Round 11, at Bahrain. Let's see now. We are 4 rounds from the end of this season, and we are, well, ready to go for what could be a monumental race in the championship. See, after last week, Fox Blue is 32 points clear at the top of the table, with Stab in second on 140, which I believe is the biggest point margin that we have going into this round across all of the series, the league. I will just check that quickly to make sure I'm not quoting that wrongly. Indeed, it does look like tonight is the biggest gap in the championship that there is anywhere across the league, so it's going to be a big old ask for Stav to close that, but I mean, he could do it. It's not out of the realms of possibility, but it's certainly going to be a harder job for him than anyone else across the league. He was in his rival of Fox Blue in the Merc. But both drivers have had stellar races this season, and certainly Stav has had some very consistent and penalty-free performances which have earned them a lot of points in the long run. And it's just why those two are the only people to have earned over 100 points in this division, with both McLaren set in P3 and P4 just basically fighting the rest of the field. I mean, at one point Gerjo was in the battle for the championship, and he hasn't been here for the past few weeks, and he's 6th in the standings, so how the mighty have fallen, shall we say. Still now, let's get the track map up, see who is out there first. That most likely looks like Gangster Jeep out there first. No, I believe it's No Joke. The first man out there on a lap might be Salif. In fact, I believe it's Zavi, yes. Took a moment to get myself orientated there with the positions of the drivers on the track. Ooh, and Zevi gets that final corner all wrong, runs wide, and invalidates himself as Evan has crashed on the inside there. Must have gotten caught up on the curb, corrected and spun to the wall. Meanwhile, in the Alpine, Salek goes on to provisional pole with a 127.1, which is already eclipsed by No Joke with a 126.8. Meanwhile, both McLarens, I believe Billy coming around first instead of left. Let's see what he does. And it's a 29.0 on the mediums. That's Hassan to third with a 28.9. Buis in the Aston, doing a 128.0, Gangster Geek setting a 127.3. As time's rolling in now, Keystro, who was looking very good last week until it all went wrong for him, up into second. Let's see, Xavi invalidated this and next lap by the looks. Let's see what Jordan can do in the Haas. Into that final corner. Nice purple helmet. Number 92 in the Haas. Let's see what he can do. He goes third with a 127.1. Acing that final sector. Maybe running a bit less downforce? Who knows? People getting well out of the way of each other. There's Stav in 7th at the moment, ahead of Fox Blue. Both of them setting times on the mediums. So currently advantage Stav. And I have to say, he certainly looked like the stronger driver recently, as Askelios has spun the car. Coming into that third sector, very easy place to do that. Let's see what Fox Blue can do on his second lap on the mediums. He goes in 6th with a 127.8. Let's see what Stav can do. And Stav has backed off. He will not be completing that lap. So advantage now lies with Fox Blue in the championship battle. Meanwhile, the remaining Alfa Romeo of Gunnar coming round to set a lap, I think. That seems slow. He might have backed off and maybe getting ready to go again. Lap time certainly doesn't seem very competitive. Must have done that. Xavi, let's see what he can do. Will he do the same thing he did in the final corner before? No, he won't. He gets that nice and within track limits on the exit. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the line. It's a 128.1 behind his teammate Stav. Xavi not looking that strong around here compared to other tracks, but it could just be his pace on the mediums. We'll have to see what he does when he gets out there on those soft tyres. Stewart, the only person still in the session who hasn't set a lap time yet, is coming around to start a lap time. Let's ride on board down into turn 1. 202 miles an hour as he hits the brakes, gets nice and turned in. Very smooth on the traction through 2 and 3. DRS and braking zone for 4, kisses at apex nicely, doesn't take full advantage of the track limits on the exit corner, runs quite wide through, that would be, I think, 7, comes down to 9 and 10 now. Tricky corner, especially with no ABS, but I believe Stewart may be running that assist, considering there was no sign of a lock-up there at all, which is very difficult to do. But this track should play into his hands, because from what I can see from his steering inputs, he definitely looks like he's on a pad and using ABS, which is very strong around here with the way the corners are and the way the pad traction is. Let's see what he does though. And he goes fastest. He goes on to provisional pole with a 126.7. Of course, no sector times for us to look at. Well, compared to his rivals, as he obviously hadn't set a lap time, but he lit up the timing screens there. And a good lap for Stewart. Let's see, meanwhile, Gunnar setting what looks to be like a purple middle sector. He's about a tenth out of the time, but he hasn't validated. As he enters the final 3 corners of the lap. Salek is on a lap, but Don't know if there's anyone in front of him on a lap. Doesn't look like it, so we'll watch Salek as he is a 10th up. Nearly 2 tenths up as he rounds into this final sector. That would put him right in the ballpark of going in front of Keystro. And maybe around Noah Joke, but he would need another 10th or so to be in a shot with provisional pole from this lap time. Let's see what he does. He does a 26.95. Up to 4th for Salek. Gangster keeps starting a lap. No Joke on an out lap. Billy on an out lap. That's right on board with Lewis. Looking for a bit of a toe off of Stewart. Not really getting one, but we will see what he can do. Let's just double check if he's up on his lap time or not. Can't really see. No deltas to compare against. He is up on his time. He sets a 27.3. Goes up into 7th ahead of Gangster Geek. See, meanwhile, Billy on a lap, who is 10th and a bit up on a 28.0. But all that time will come in the middle sector because I believe his time was on medium tyres. Indeed it was. And a couple of tenths back from Fox Blue on the medium, on the same compound. But the softs and the mediums are very different, and we have a yellow flag. Stab has spun out of the final corner. Gets well out of the way of the Mercedes of Escalios, who goes on to provisional pole. Marginally with another 126.7. Meanwhile, Billy sets purple middle sector. He is a 1.1 seconds up by the look of his delta. If he can nail these final 2 corners and get the traction right, he could be on for provisional pole. Let's see what he can do. Plants the throttle very well. Rams up to the line, and it is provisional pole for Billy, who is the first man to crack into the 126.5s as Nojo goes second, marginally behind him. Very close lap times so far in this qualifying session. Let's see what Fox Blue can do though on the softs. First of the championship contenders to set a lap on the softs. See what he does on the run to the line. Only a 26.9 for Fox Blue. And P8 for the championship leader. Will we see a repeat of what was seen in Division 1 for myself, really, with a, frankly, nightmarish race for a championship, and resulting in the changing hands at the top of the table over in Division 1, which you can catch by subscribing to the YouTube channel and tuning in on a Tuesday. Stab on an outlap. Let's see, meanwhile, the McLarens. Billy maybe on a cool-down lap or an in-lap. Stewart about to start a lap by the looks. As Billy gets well out of the way. Let's see. Zabi coming around to finish the lap now. Yes, it is. Let's see what he can do. Slowest man on the board right now. And he moves himself up into 10th with a 127.1. The usual suspects that you would see, well, the people who we've seen around the front, Fox Blue, Zavi, and both seem to be struggling as... Never mind, Fox Blue goes on to provisional pole. Did not realise he was on another lap. That is provisional pole for Fox Blue. Maybe doing a little bit of sandbagging down at Mercedes as Keystro moves back up into 3rd with a 126.601, 3 thousandths clear of No Jug. And we look to see Escalos getting well out of the way of his teammate, I believe. one or the other. Meanwhile, in the middle sector, that's Huss getting well out of the way. Stab, no, that's Savvy. Stab, meanwhile, comes round through the first sector split, gets a bit more out on the track limits, and he is 3 attempts up on his sector 1 time. A little bit of a visual distraction from Keystro there, but shouldn't be too bad. Ooh, Keystro's not chosen a great place to get out of the way there, but at least he did before Stab went steaming to the back of him. But that may have cost Stab some time, we will see. A little bit of a lock-up, so obviously a non-ABS runner, and he will not find it very easy around here tonight. 6 attempts up on a 128.1, so not looking like anything special from Stab at the moment, unless he has a lot of time left over in this final sector, which is only really 2 corners, even though they count that little kink as a 3rd corner. The Stab sets a 127.2 and he only moves himself up ahead of Guna. So Stab may be struggling to get to grips with the Bahrain circuit. Meanwhile, his championship rival sits on the provisional pole with 2 minutes left to run in this qualifying session. Let's see. Salek seems to have gone well out of the way. Let's see what Skelios can do. Teammate to Foxblue, will we see a Mercedes front row lockout as we've seen so many times before in this era of Formula 1? And may not be very common to see in a league race with mixes of talents across the grid, but Skelios doesn't look to be improving. He is 7 tenths down on his lap time. Let's see who is on a lap. Gangster Geek on an out lap. Buas on an out lap. Stab setting purple middle by the looks. Another temp up on his time. So he is going faster. And a temp could place him in the top 10. So we will have to see what Stab can pull out. Will probably be his final run in qualifying. Stab only 9th. And on 2 lap all softs. This is not looking like good news for Stab in his championship fight. Foxboot is out there on an out lap, maybe looking to go faster. Billy getting well out of the way of the Alpine of Salek, who we will watch complete his lap now. So he looks to be on an in lap, well out of the way of everybody else. Indeed, he is out of fuel. Jordan now coming around to finish his lap time. Let's see what he can do. Up to 6th for Jordan, which is Stab down to 10. This might be a blessing in disguise for Stab, who may just want to start outside of the top 10 and run the alternative strategy. Gangster Geep into the final 2 corners now. Let's see what he can do as a McLaren round. I believe that might be Stewart. Yes, it is. Gangster Geep doesn't seem to have improved as Stewart is out. That might be a retire on track. Indeed it is. Stewart has retired on track, which will be a post-race penalty. I believe a qualifying ban, actually. But that is definitely going straight to the stewards, as Stab is not on a lap. He needs someone behind to improve. Otherwise, he will be starting in what is most likely the worst possible position for him to start, with him being on 2 lap old soft and out and just in the top 10. As Xavi isn't improving, so it all relies on Gangster Geek. Will he improve? Let's see. He runs a little bit wide, but Nothing too bad. He looks to be about 2 tenths up, so this could be good news for Stav, who I'm suspecting wants that alternative strategy. Let's see what Gangster Geek can do as he crosses the line, as he goes into 9th, which puts Stav into P11, which is right where he'll want to be. That is certainly a little bit demoralizing to only be starting 11th, but he has that alternative strategy now. And that will pay him dividends in the race. So, Fox Blue starts from pole position, championship leader, with Billy alongside him on the front row in the McLaren, with Keystro third. Another strong qualifying for Keystro, who only debuted last time out at Saudi Arabia. No joke, 3 thousandths behind in the Red Bull. And Guna, Eskelios, Jordan, Stewart, Gangster Geek, Salik rounding out the top 10, and then Stav, Buis, Xavi, Huss, and Evan, the only person not to set a time as he crashed on his outlap. Very, very close qualifying. Top 10 within 4 tenths. As we wait for the drivers now to advance to the grid, I'm expecting to see Stav out there on those medium tyres. Now then. We watch the drivers pull away for the formation lap. Let's see what tyres Stav is out there on. He is starting on the mediums. Xavi and Huss opting for the hards, with Buis and Evan also out there on the mediums. The rest of the grid starting on those soft compound tyres. Still, Fox Blue on pole. Perfect position for him to start his start in his championship battle, with Stav starting outside of the points. But as I've said before, that alternate strategy could play right into his hands. Bit of a big gap there between No Drug and Keystro. I'm sure there's been warnings about this in the stewards before, that there is a obligation to stay within 10 car lengths, but he seems to be right about within that limit. Not sure, we may have to see about that with the stewards as well. Right then, onto the grid now. we will ride on board with Keystro into turn 1. Alright then. Five red lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go, and Keystro has had a much better initial getaway compared to Billy. Ooh, and he might challenge for the lead into turn 1. Fox Blue defends his position well. Meanwhile, Guna up the inside of No Joke. Ooh, and that's No Joke round. No Joke has been spun. Bits of front wing end plate all over the place there. Looks like his stab is completely intact. Stewart has a penalty there. I will have to see what type of penalty that is. That's a 5-second penalty. I believe he was the one who made the contact with No Joke to spin him. Meanwhile, Gangster is past Salek, who is missing his front left end plate. Escelios seems to be missing some, if not all, of his front wing. Yep, he's missing his front right end plate. Jordan wing seems to be intact, but Ferrari seems to be intact. Haas having a great start. Haas seems, I'm not sure how that Haas started, but he is up 8 positions off the start. Same for Evan. Great start for both of them. Still, the 3 lead drivers getting away well. Fox Blue already nearly 2 seconds clear of Billy, who is being put under immense pressure by Keystro as we finish that first lap. A lot of position changes further back, with No Joke losing out. 11 positions. Stewart enters the pits, maybe having some kind of damage from that, as Gangster gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as we have the back 5 all in the pits. Indeed, Stewart is in for a wing change. And onto the mediums he goes. Fox Blue well clear, and the top 4 all clear, well, a long way clear of Haas, which makes sense with that 2-step of compound difference between them. But the hards, certainly a usable tyre around here, more usable than around some other tracks, but conventional strategy is still a soft medium, although it's not very easy to pull off. We will have to see what the drivers do this evening, but all of the drivers outside of the top 10, well, all the drivers who have changed wings or pitted for damage after that first lap, all on the mediums. So we enter lap 3, gaps still about 1.8 seconds between Fox Blue and Keystro, who has set the fastest lap of the race and is past Billy. As DRS is now enabled, so we will start to see that, well storied DRS training starting to happen as Billy, a bit of a snap out of turn 3. Ooh, and that's Bowie round. Bowie has spun, caught that inside curb. Front wing looks to be intact, but that's lost him a lot of time, and he's right around to the back of the grid, pretty much. We will have to see how quickly Fox Blue can close in, or pull away from Keystro, as seems to be keeping that gap pretty equal, which is good news for Fox Blue, as soon as anyone gets in his DRS, it's going to be bad news. Meanwhile, Haas, Evan and Stab all in a lot of train of their own. Huss leading Evan and Stab on those hard tyres. So these guys on their mediums will want to get by as soon as they can. And Jordan will obviously want to be past them as well, as Nojak has retired from the session already as we enter lap 4 for the lead drivers. No safety car looking to be called out at the moment. Evan and Huss side by side into turn 1. Evan is well clear of Huss as they enter the braking zone. Nice clean move for Huss. Well, nice clean move for Evan, shall I say, not Huss. Getting past Huss in the Williams. Now the words that I meant to extract from my mouth. They'll be having a little bit of a lonely race out there in the other Ferrari on those hards, but the race will come to him as we continue onwards. Back up at the front though, Keystro nearly within that second of Foxblue, and Billy seems to have made a mistake somewhere. I'm not sure what's gone on there, but Keystro has the DRS of Foxblue, and Billy is nearly 2 seconds behind Keystro. So we've seen a bit of a swing in terms of what's going on in this lead. Well, pretty much four-way battle for the lead. It was looking to be a Foxblue pulling away, and then a DRS train between second to fourth. But Keystro has made massive inroads on Foxblue this lap, and they are a gap of 6/10 as we enter lap 5. Let's see, can Keystro get close? He doesn't have a lot of ERS to use, and he isn't really using it anyway. Looking to definitely closing up with that overspeed, but he isn't close enough to have a look at Foxblue just yet, and a little bit of a kick here oversteer out of turn 3 to boot. Meanwhile, Gunnar will also not have a look at Billy. Evan under no pressure from Huss. Meanwhile, Jordan is past Stab, although that will be the soft tyres. Still probably the tyre to be on for the next couple of laps, but the mediums will start to certainly play into their own fairly soon, and Evan and Stab will be in the best position. As they are both, well, they're both all swarming all over the back of Huss in the Williams. Bit of a train here with Evan at the head. Meanwhile, back at the front, gap is, well, just under a quarter of a second at the front. Keystro will surely look to make his move as we enter lap 6. Let's see now. DRS enabled for Keystro. He pulled out to the inside and is well clear of Foxblue by the braking zone. Keystro takes the lead in the 6th lap of this race. Meanwhile, Gunnar getting closer to the back of Billy, but not close enough for a move. Foxblue not close enough to come back at Keystro, who will now look to extend his advantage at the front of the pack. Meanwhile, further back, not a lot going on. Have to see if Salak can make his way past Skelios in the other Mercedes. Doesn't seem to have the overspeed, though he does have a look in at the inside in turn 1. Left the space by Skelios, but Skelios has the better traction on that wider line, and looks like he will hold P12 for now. Stewart on the back of Gangster Geep sets the fastest first sector so far. Oh, never mind. I said Selick may be on the back of a scale for a while, but he has spun out of turn 4. Back at the front, gap is 7/10 as Keystro is now starting to pull away. Very control. Looks like Keisha is pretty much in control of this now. Fox Blue will obviously use this to advantage to pull away from the rest of the field and try and hold on, see if Keisha will get any penalties, but we'll have to see. Guna still not close enough to have a look at the inside of Billy. Those mediums will be starting to come into their own now. The gaps starting to fall between the two Alfa Romeo drivers, and Jordan starting to struggle a bit compared to Evan and Haas in front of him. Although Xavi still not really closing in on the hards. Pace in front of him seems to still be good enough to. Excuse me, sorry. As Buis and Salek having a bit of a battle. Salek backs out of that one. Keistro nearly a second clearer. In fact, he is. Keistro is a second clear of Foxblue now. Keistro has a lot of pace in that AlphaTauri. Now, Foxblue does have a lot more ERS deployment, but I believe that is the DRS broken. Oh, never mind. Both drivers into the pit lane. Let's see what they cut onto. Billy pits also. Guna opting to stay out. Let's see what the drivers choose in the pit lane. Keistro onto a set of mediums. Foxblue gone for another set of softs. That locks Foxblue into the two-stop. Same with Billy. That's not what I would go for myself around here. Salek has had another spin, and that's definitely the Alpine missing all of its front wing. Let's see. So, Guna out in the lead of this race now, with the leaders all pitting. Guna may look to go longer and be in with a bit of a better shout of trying to pull off that one stop, but we'll have to see what he can do. Gap is, well, he's pulled a second clear of Haas, so medium's working better than the hards at the moment. Stab, well, right on the back of Jordan, who's struggling immensely on those old softs. Stab will look to the inside through the second last corner. Plays it safe, knows he's going to have DRS down this main straight. Guna in the pits. So Jordan has stayed out. So Jordan looks to be the one who will be trying that one stop. So Evan takes the lead, provisional lead of the race. Guna comes out in a clear fourth behind Billy. Oh, well, I missed that. Foxblue has taken the net race lead from Keistro. Those softs obviously, well, those softs working a lot better at the moment. Haas has managed to close back within a second of Evan meanwhile. I believe that's Salek almost coming around to be lapped. I don't know why I went that way through the timing screen, whereas I could have just done this. But Evan maybe not so confident out there in the lead of the race. Haas definitely seems to be finding a bit more pace on these hards now compared to the last lap. I'm not sure if that's just because he's pushing a bit harder or if Evan is starting to struggle. We will have to see. Dev out there in third place on track at the moment. We will have to see where he'll come out compared to Keistro, Billy and Guna. But also Foxblue is now, well, 1.5 seconds clear of Keistro. The balance has shifted between the two drivers. Foxblue sets the fastest lap of the race so far as we enter lap 10 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Right then, back to the front. Evans still leads this race at the moment. As Lajek saying he unfortunately misses, well, Lajek unfortunately missing out at Bahrain, not able to make it due to, well, I'm not sure exactly what he said in the Discord, but I'm sure it's important if he's not here. And he will be back with us next week at the Singapore Grand Prix. Around 12. Haas keeping that gap around 6/10. Stab closing in on Haas. May see a little bit of a freeway battle here for the divisional race lead. Jordan dropping a long way back on those softs. I think Jordan will definitely be the one to try a one-stop soft to medium. It seems a lot more likely for him considering how long he stayed out on the softs, and he is coming into the pits now. Meanwhile, the leaders start lap 11, and Haas has got himself past Evan. So Haas now takes the race lead on the hard compound, with Evan behind, not getting DRS. Neither one of the lead drivers having DRS. Not sure what's going on there. One of them must have definitely forgotten to use it, or there was some kind of visual glitch not showing one of their DRSs open. Steph definitely had his DRS open. Meanwhile, Billy and Keystro are going side by side. Keystro trying to pull the switch back, but just doesn't have the grip on those medium tyres compared to Billy on the softs. So Billy now into a net second, as Fox Blue closing up onto the back of Xavi on the hard. Xavi not really being as punchy in this race as he would have hoped. Certainly struggling to keep pace with the guys in front of him, which is very difficult to do once you lose DRS around here. It's very easy to fall away and fall into the clutches of those behind. See, Foxby knows he can play this safe. He is a long way out in the lead of this race at the moment, and he is definitely going to be two-stopping though. So we'll see how that goes. Xavi makes a bit of a late defensive move there, I have to say, but Fox Blue manages to get well past. Xavi obviously trying to do whatever he can to help his teammate, but Fox Blue is clear. Meanwhile, Bowie has spun again, and he is missing a front wing this time. The second time he spun in that corner. Billy and Keystro going at it again through turn 4. Lots of room left by Billy, but he is clear. Back up at the front, Seven Evan going for it into turn 10, I believe. I'm not sure exactly the corner number, but they are both throwing some good battling, but you don't really want to be on the inside there, as we have found out from Stab, who is lost out in that move. Meanwhile, Bowie is at pits on the hards. He will look to go to the end of the race on those, providing he doesn't end up spinning or there's no safety cars. Back up at the front, Stab right on the back of Evans' diffuser, as the medium seems to be dropping away a bit compared to the hard compound, as Stab clean, well executed move ahead of Evan and is well clear into the braking zone. Can Stab be close enough with that overspeed to get into the DRS at Haas? It might just be that way. No, it's not, but 9/10 the gap now. Stab will definitely look to start closing in as Salek pits up a 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings. Nearly spins in the process. Certainly seems to have a bit of pace over Huss at the moment. Gap just under a second for Stab, who will have DRS as we enter this middle sector straight. But ooh, Huss has made a bit of a mistake there. And ooh, same for Salek. Salek's in the wall. Both drivers making a bit of a mistake there, as Stav now takes the provisional race lead. I'm not sure exactly what's gone on there, but both drivers seemingly having a bit of a mare on the traction. Meanwhile, Fox Blue is now on the back of this group. Fox Blue is nearly a pit stop clear of... Well, he's nearly made up a free pit stop on Stav. Fox Blue driving a stellar race so far. I mean, he will have to pit again, but he's already on the back of Stav, who hasn't pitted. Further back, really not within that second he needs of Xavi, but he's getting there. Stuart and Gangster Geek may battle on the run up to turn 4. See now if Billy can get that good exit, takes the wider line, looks for the better traction against Gangster Geek. See what he can do. Gangster Geek seems to be deploying his ERS a bit more, or has more straight line speed, and maintains his position. Back at the front, Fox Blue is past Evan and looking to challenge Huss, which should be a pretty easy ordeal for him on those soft tyres compared to hards that Huss has been on since the start of this Grand Prix. Within that DRS now, but Huss would have a bit of an easier time defending at the moment with him being on the soft compound. Well, with him being in the DRS, sorry, not the soft compound. That would be our championship leader of Fox Blue. So my phone's gone very hot all of a sudden. That might be because of that. Evan just about out of that second gap. Ooh, Fox Blue going for him a little bit of a risky dive there, but makes it past Huss and is now on the back of his championship rival, and this move will move him one pit stop clear in terms of his advantage to Stav. As Salek has left the session. Also, Gangster Geep seems to have disconnected from the session. I'm not sure what's happened there to Gangster Geep, but seemingly some kind of disconnect for him. I may have to try and re-invite him. Meanwhile, Fox Blue is past Stab in the lead of the race, but he has used all of his ERS deployment. Stab obviously playing the longer game here, as Fox Blue's softs will be pretty similar in performance to Stab's mediums in terms of their tyre life and wear. I will re-invite Gangster Geep now. Let's just check his, yeah, all lowercase. I will get that out to him now. Right, so that's that sorted. Let's see if we can get him back into this race. Meanwhile, Foxblue and Stab at the front with Huss. Gangster Geek has managed to successfully rejoin the session. Ooh, and Foxblue into the pits. So, Foxblue will be looking to make his final charge. 12 laps on the medium compound to the end for Foxblue. This may run down to the wire between him and Stav. Billy also into the pits for a new set of mediums. Jordan out there. And the one stop has brought him out side by side with Foxblue, so that undercut nearly working for him, but just not enough, and Foxblue will now start to pull away a bit. Let's see what the leaders end up doing. This is around about the time I would start to consider a pit stop for a set of soft tyres if I were to pit, as the timing board seems to have gone completely haywire. Bad news. Okay. Let's see now if that timing screen fixes itself as they cross the line. Stab into the pits. Let's see what Stab pits for. I believe I see red wall compound tyre. Stab is doing the alternate strategy that I expected him to do. And he is onto the softs to the end of this race. It's going to be tight as they come out of the pits as well. The gap was about 7/10 before. Let's see where Stab comes out in relation to Jordan. It will be as there's a 2-second gap between Foxblue and Stab. And Stab out there on fresh softs compared to Foxblue's fresh mediums. Will his tyres manage to last? This is going to go down to the wire between the championship rivals. That's right on board with Stab on those softs. Hooks the inside curb as he goes through what I believe is turn 8 or 9 there. And 1.8 seconds to gap. Meanwhile, out at the front, let's see what Huss and Evan decide to pit onto. The gap is just over a second, so not beneficial to Evan to stay out if Huss was to pit. But Evan has pitted anyway. The last of the medium runners from the start of this race to pit, and also onto a set of the soft compounded tyre. Gap in the provisional lead is 1.4 seconds. As Stav has played this pretty well actually, as Foxblue using a lot of his ERS, knowing desperately he has to pull away as much as he can and try and get away from Stav in order to extend his championship advantage. As Gunnar, I believe, is in a net race lead. I'm not sure what tyres he's been on up to this point. Let's check his race director. Gunnar out there, and actually Gunnar out there in the net race lead, actually. Never mind. I was under the influence that Foxblue and Stav are out there in the race lead, but Gunnar could be looking to go to the end. Bowie, meanwhile, has DNF'd. I missed exactly when that happened, but he seemed to have caught the inside curb and spun out of 10, 12, 13, I believe. I don't know what they consider corners. I just know that Little kink on the final straight is considered a corner. Huss into the pits. But never mind, Keystro leads this race. God, I've really misinterpreted things. Keystro and Guna out there doing the one stop. Foxboo doing the two stop. Stab doing the alternate strategy one stop. It's certainly not going to be a battle for lead between Foxboo and Stab, but it's a battle between the two championship rivals nonetheless. Right then. Staff has managed to get DRS on Foxblue. The softs working better than the mediums at the moment as they are all closing in at the front. Xavi may look to stay out on the hards and assist his teammate. Staff sets the fastest middle sector of the race so far. Let's see now. Keystro. Oh, Keystro's pitted. I did not expect Keystro to pit. Keystro pitted, as does Xavi, both onto the softs. This could actually go to the race lead, as Stab and Foxblue, championship contenders and rivals battling. Foxblue has the better exit on the outside of the corner, and he has DRS on the run up to turn 4, and he will maintain the position for now. Meanwhile, both of them gaining a fair amount of time on Guna, who is also a long way under on fuel. I'm not sure if he's realised or not. But certainly, well, our side of the game is telling us that he is low on fuel. But both of them closing in on Guna. Will Stab have a look into the middle sector. He upshifts early, has a look, he has a think about it, but obviously not wanting to make any collisions. And he will definitely wait to make his move now, because he'll want that DRS down into turn 1. Let's see now, as they enter lap 22. Oh, Guna's pitted! Guna's pitted, no way! I did not expect him to pit. I thought Guna would go to the end on those medium tyres. It is not going to happen. So indeed, it is a battle for the lead out the front. The Stab moves into the lead. Foxboo goes later on the brakes, but Stab and... oh, they go side by side through turn 2 and 3, up towards turn 4. Still side by side, Foxboo gets himself round the outside. Can he make it? No, he can't. As Stab now takes the lead of this Bahrain Grand Prix. The alternate strategy, as I expected, working absolute wonders for Stab at the moment. Let's see if his tyres can hold on compared to Foxboo's mediums. But he will be pushing like hell now to pull away and get clear and close that championship gap, as my wireless headset is starting to die on us, so let's hope it can hold out for the next 7 laps. Well, 6 laps and a bit. Guna gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Foxboo maybe trying to come back at Stab. Keystro sets the fastest lap of the race so far in the AlphaTauri, down in 5th. see if he can make any moves, see if he can get himself up into 4th ahead of Haas, who is deracing down these straights, but so is Keystro, both of them pushing very hard. Guna in a bit of a world of his own. Gaps certainly larger towards the back of the field, as Steph and Fox Blue still pretty much going to be, well, locking horns for the rest of this race. Getting closer still, but Steph having a much better run through this long sweeping part of the track where his softs will be stronger as Foxboo goes a little bit too deep, forgets the slow in fast out mantra. Billy has made a mistake and or spun, has Ariel Jordan up his inside. He gets a 3-second time penalty for that, which I think is complete rubbish. Oh, and it's 3 wide into the oh, that's definitely not going to work. Yep, Jordan spun. Jordan has been spun as the 2 cars converged onto him. You just can't go 3 wide there. No way. There's Billy holding his own with the DRS compared to Zoe with his ERS. Jordan into the pits. Fair to him, he hasn't retired in the pits. I think he will try and go for that fastest lap. Gap 3.5 tenths at the front of the field. Foxboo still not really getting close enough to strike and take that lead. Meanwhile, Billy spun again, I believe. Seems to be struggling a fair amount out there. Jordan's still going. Good on him for that. Certainly not as invested per se, and not as frustrated by that as I was by my race on Tuesday. Same thing. 6 tenths now. The gap at the front doesn't look really to be changing lap by lap, so we will see if Foxboo makes his attack. He has saved a lot of his ERS deployment to maybe have a go at Steph as we enter the final few laps. He definitely has some good straight line speed and overspeed on Steph. Maybe running a bit less downforce, as Keystro is now past Evan. I'd missed him getting past Huss, but Keystro up into 3rd place. A stellar performance from the newcomer to Delta T Racing, which you can join by following the link in the description. I believe Season 3 will be being announced soon. Gap pretty much stagnant at the front, so I'm pretty sure Foxboo is just biding his time. We will see if there are any other battles anywhere else on the grid. Jordan closing up on Gangster Geek, maybe one to watch in the final couple of laps if we're not watching the battle at the lead. And no safety cars this race, surprisingly, which is a rare achievement to see in Division 3 after 3 DRS around here. A safety car, not as common around here as it is around other tracks, but hell, we might see Keystro come into this fight. He is on the youngest soft tyres. He will have more grip than the 2 in front. This could become a freeway battle at the front of the field, as Keystro may look to try and take this race lead and race win away from Steph and Foxblue, as Foxblue getting a lot closer again. This is the closest he's been for so far, but he just can't stay with Steph with the dirty air. Oh, and a little bit of a kick of the rear end there for good measure, but Keystro now in this lead train. Can Keystro get to the lead? Oh, and Stab goes very deep. Maybe a lock up there for Stab. Not sure. I'm gonna plug my headset in actually, now I think about it. Just to be safe and so that you don't lose me in the final 3 and a bit, well, 2 and a bit laps of this race. Foxblue's pace certainly nowhere near what it was when he was out there on that second set of softs, but he is still well within fighting distance, and Keystro also within fighting distance. Keystro obviously doesn't have the championship to think about in this position. Foxblue having to use and push to defend against Keystro, and having to attack Stav. And they run side by side through turn 2 and 3. Foxblue has the DRS, and he's going to try and pull away now. Keystro falls back a bit, but if I was Stav, I would just bide my time and just try and make it past on that final lap. Maybe try and bring Keystro into it so that Foxblue finishes in that 3rd position and loses more points to Stav. Meanwhile, Jordan may have a look at Gangster Geet into turn 4. Ooh, not a great exit though. I think that one will wait. 3/10 the gap between Stav and Foxblue, and 3/10 the gap between Keystro and Stav, as Stav makes a bit of a mistake there into the final sector. They will both be within striking distance of Foxblue. Let's see what happens now. We're going to ride on board with Keystro. Stav using battery, can definitely tell about that. Foxblue also using battery. Foxblue seems to have a lot better straight line speed than Stav. I'm not sure what's gone on there. Stav maybe not using his ERS. And Keystro makes it past Stav. Interesting. Though Stav may be playing that long game, maybe wants to wait for that final lap, and maybe might try and pass both of them on the main straight. We will see. Meanwhile, Huss pretty close to the back of Evan. Bit of dirty air causing some understeer. Let's see, towards the back of the field, Gangster Deep and Jordan. Let's see if Jordan looks up the inside. Yes, he does. Not as late on the brakes. Gangster Deep stays ahead for now. Meanwhile, in the lead group, Keystro has a think about passing Foxblue. Isn't close enough. Stav falling back a bit. His soft, obviously not up to par with Keystro's, and that might be bad news for him if he wants to try and pass Foxblue, who has saved a lot of his deployment. Keystro, though, within 1/10 of a second. As we enter the final lap of this race, can Keystro win on his second outing in Delta 2 racing? He's in the slipstream now. Stav just isn't close enough. Maybe wants these guys to battle at the front. Keystro up the inside. Foxblue tries to hold it around the outside. He definitely needs to do so. And even though I plugged my headset in, obviously not plugged it in enough, as Keystro in the lead of this race. Stav not able to really capitalize on that battling at the front. Although Foxblue obviously wanting to try and take the lead of the race back from Keystro and try and extend his championship lead further with the win of the race. It's going to go right down to the last corner. as Guna gets out of the way. Jordan passes Gangs to keep meanwhile into turn 4. Stab using his deployment now. Can he get past? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. He's just not close enough. And that's so unfortunate for Stab. He could have won this race, but Keystro wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Fotsu finishes in second, extended his advantage over Stab, who has, well, an even more difficult challenge on his hands. Huss finishing 4th, Evan 5th, Zappy 6th. McLaren not having a great day out there in 7th and 8th. Ascalios is out of fuel, but that will make no difference. That's why Guna was travelling so slowly. He is also out of fuel, and it's a... How the hell has he got a 10-second time penalty for track limits there? I do not know. I believe that one will go to be stewards to be removed. Jordan does finish ahead of Gangs to keep because of Gangs to be having a penalty. And Guna, who definitely ran out of fuel a long way around that lap, finishes in 12th and the last of the finishers in this race. Went down to the wire, and new winner in Delta T Racing Division 3, and someone who's only been here the past couple of rounds. Shame he couldn't have been here for the start of the season, as he could have been well in the battle. Keystro wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Foxblue in second, Staff third, which I'm just repeating myself here, but that has been it for Delta T Racing Division 3. Foxblue extending his championship lead as we enter the final 3 rounds. He could take it next round, really. I will look at the standings and do a little quick calculation for you all. If I get out my calculator, Foxblue will gain 18. So Foxblue moves on to 190, Stab onto 155, and if Foxblue gets 50 points clear of Stab, he wins the title next time out. We will have to see what happens next week. This has been Delta T Racing, and, well, I will see you next week, of course. Bye for now.